What's going on, guys? It's Aaron Guyette, and I'm here with. This is so weird. I'm here with Marcus
Technical
Martinez.
difficulties.
We're gonna do a movement breakdown. We're gonna do arcs. Obviously the challenge of this week, the battle ropes challenge of this week is smiles. So basically, it's stopping here, going from the shoulder down through up to the other shoulder, stopping. Right. So we have this acceleration, deceleration, stop, isometric, and then I'm accelerating the other way. And as I speed it up, I'm going to do as many as I can in 20 seconds. Well, if you don't have a rope, Marcus is here. He's going to break down the kettlebell version, right? How can I work all three planes of motion with the kettlebell? And then I'm going to break down a bodyweight version. So coming down onto the ground, I'm going to have both hands, right, plastered to the ground. So normally in a kick through or a sit through, kick sit or kick out, right, we would pick up this hand, and then you see a lot with Animal Flow where they point and then drive this elbow back, or like back in wrestling days, right, we would put our hand on our belly and we'd sit out this way, right, boom, do a sit out. With this one, I'm going to actually plaster the hands down, just like ZUU, Z-U-U, right? And what that's going to do is going to force much more engagement through my core. So as I plaster my hands down onto the ground, I'm going to kick through, and keeping the hand on the ground actually increase my contraction through my rectus abdominis, right, the six pack, transverse abdominis, all these abdominal muscles that go across this way, and then internal and external obliques on both sides, because I keep this hand down. I'm also going to have to stabilize through that frontal plane and stabilize through my shoulder and my shoulder blade, or shoulder and scapula, or glenohumeral joint and scapula, right? And that's obviously going to be helpful for just life in general. So I kick, boom, and I kick, and I can add speed, or I could slow it down and work endurance. So as I add speed, it of course creates much more contraction with my musculature. And then as I slow it down, right, obviously I can lower that output and do it for far longer, right? That will help me work endurance in all three planes of motion. And it's working from my fingers up through my torso, down through my torso, down to my toes. So it's literally a full body. All my joint complexes are being utilized. My entire musculature is being utilized to generate this movement in all three planes of motion.
Exactly what he said. So now we're going to incorporate the kettlebells. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to be adding in some rotational cleans. In this case, we're going to be doing two-hand rotational cleans with a pivot. So the pivot's important, and I'll make sure we kind of point that out as we go through this. But with the rotational clean, you're going to be focusing on the same mechanics. The same mechanics as if you were doing a clean, a traditional clean. We're driving through the hips, pulling with the shoulder, and then finishing the movement into the rack position. So it's not arms, we're not curling the bell up. So the same rules apply for the rotational clean. In this case, we're going to be one hand on the bell, other hand on top of that hand. It's never going to leave that hand, or it's never going to leave that position. So as we rotate, we're pivoting to one side, we're unraveling the bell, allowing it to drive across the body, or allowing it to drop seamlessly, so we're not jerking across the body. And then as we come across, we're going to drive through the glute, through the hip, and rotate powerfully to get that bell up in position. So we can do this nice and quickly without slamming. We can slow down just a little bit, add a little bit more control, add a little bit more tension at the top of each position. But what I like about this is we're getting, again, all planes. We're allowing for, because we're using the two hands, because we're using our entire lower body on this, we can go heavier on this, so we can increase power, can increase strength, or we can go lighter and go faster and go longer and increase endurance. So make sure a couple things. Make sure, number one, loosen enough grip where the bell can rotate in your hands seamlessly, so we don't want to rip up your hands. Number two, make sure that bell is dropping nicely, so we're unraveling, straightening, engaging the lats, engaging the scaps to allow for a smooth transition so it doesn't jerk us down. And number three, make sure we are pivoting, so turn on your feet as you're doing this. Make sure you're not feet planted and then rotating through your knees and hips alone. So,
all right, guys, so that's it. A little movement breakdown for arcs, right, which was the challenge, the Battle Ropes challenge of this week. If you haven't done your challenge entry, hop onto Instagram, hop onto Facebook, hop onto living.fit and do your challenge entry. If you want to see more of these lives, obviously right here on YouTube if you're here, or if you're watching on living.fit/live, you're going to see much more lives there on Living.fit. For more information, we have level 1, which is absolutely free battle ropes continuing education. Level 1, absolutely free kettlebells continuing education, and that's right here on Living.fit as well. Enjoy and make your next one your best one.